Okay, you guys, let's do this. It's going to be so professional. Like, so professional. Here we go. Well, welcome to the Live Support Podcast with your hosts, Michele VanDusen and June Colson, a couple of clean comedians who support each other and others through comedy's wacky and winding roads. I hope you're ready. Get set. Let's go. Since podcasts have a catchy tune, we wrote this song for Michele and June. Clean comedians are best friends too. Oh, it's so good. And you never know what they'll say or do. Here we go, sing with me on Live Support, with Michele, who's really short. We'll have a ball, with June, who's really tall. They have fun, interviewing comedians on Live Support, with Michele, who's really short. Now it's time to start Live Support.
The Live Support Podcast is brought to you by the Hot Breath Comedy Network.
Wow, give yourself a round of applause. Welcome to the award-winning Live Support Podcast. I'm your host, June Colson, here with what I think is Michele with one L, or should we say Shelley? VanDusen?
Yeah, we'll say Shelley VanDusen. Why not? Hello.
We discovered an episode, last episode or episode before that Michele does not like to be called Shelley, which is nothing but ammunition for me. Michele, what do you have on your paws right now?
These, I gotta say, are the most fun thing ever. They're oven mitts that some crazy lady sent me because she knows I have this kitten, this cat, this Mr.Fox that I've been doing some videos with. And this is the best thing. It reminds me slightly of Mr. Rogers' Daniel, the tiger, like his paws.
His little paws. What's on the inside? Okay, so the reason why I sent these to Michele, one, is because if you've been listening to our podcast, you know that Michele has a cat that she loves and adores so much, named Mr.Fox. Okay, open it up again. So her birthday is tomorrow. When this airs, her birthday will be past, but tomorrow's her birthday. And I found these huge oven mitts. When you open it up, it's like it shows the backside of a cat wearing a skull cape holding a fish. I don't know what that's all about. But they're giant oven mitts that look like cat paws. And in perfect Michele style, right before we came on the air, Michele pointed out an issue with one of the gifts that I gave her. It's a beautiful, sentimental gift. Michele, reach back there and show them.
Okay, I will. But first, let me just tell you, now that I have those oven mitts, I can actually paw at the cat and not get scratched. We have had a little match. So thank you for that. Now, can you get me some slippers to do the same? Okay, so this candle, you also sent me this candle.
Yeah.
I always wished for a friend like you. And so what I said to you before we came on the air was, just so you know, this candle is just like you, overpowering.
How sweet is that? I send this sweet sentimental, I sent a bunch of like fun stuff, but then I wanted something that had a message that was from the heart. And it says, I've always wished for a friend like you. And the sweetest thing that I gave her, she has to pop off right before we come on and say that it's as overbearing as I am. So happy flipping birthday, Shelley VanDusen.
Thank you. Well, actually, I'm okay with you saying Shelley, only because I got to voice Shelley the clam in a cartoon.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why I'm like, yeah, you can call me Shelley. And I forgot about our conversation. So yes, technically, no. There's only one person on this earth that can call me Shelley. And that happens to be John Corey. I'm like, what's his name?
Corey. Rhonda
Corey's
Rhonda
husband.
Corey Comedy. Rhonda Corey of Talk is Cheap. The Rhonda Corey who has Rhonda Corey Comedy Clean Comedy Hand Sanitizer.
That's
Rhonda
right.
Corey? Yeah.
I happen to have some of her sanitizer right here. Look at this.
Look at that. So Michele, tomorrow is your birthday. Are you going to tell us how old you are?
I want to say 54, but don't quote me on that. I don't know. I don't do math.
I want to say I'm 35, but I'm not. Like, I want to say 25, but
I'm 72. Don't I look great?
Oh my goodness.
I don't know. I'm in my 50s, so whatever. It's whatever. It's somewhere in there. So here, this is one other thing that you sent me.
Oh, y'all gotta see this.
Oh
Okay,
my
for our
gosh.
listeners, let me tell you, I found a Bob Ross finger puppet. He's got his little palette with his paint on it and his brush and his crazy hair. I love it.
Such crazy hair. Like crazy.
I should have got myself one too. I try not to be too selfish, but after I saw
You
it and I
should.
sent it to you, it gave me such joy that and then showing my husband what I sent and telling Rhonda, I'm like, oh, I just need a Bob Ross finger puppet in my life. So I think you're gonna have fun with that. What else did you get,
Definitely.
Michelle?
Okay, so I'm just gonna and I showed you this too. This is like a cat towel, right?
Yeah,
This
yeah, it's a towel that its little paws go over the towel rack and velcros on, and it looks just like Mr. Fox.
Yeah. So when behind me I have that multicolored curtain kind of a thing.
Yes.
When that's down, I have a pipe there and I put him there. So Mr. Fox can attack the
What
new
did
fox.
Mr. Fox think about, like, the mittens and the cat that looks like him?
He spent a lot of time just sniffing, and then he takes his little paw and he like touches it, and then he touches it, and then he touches it, and then he kind of does one of these and he touches it with his other paw. So it's just he just like bats at it really carefully, like, is it gonna hurt me? Is it
Ooh,
gonna
okay, you know the
Yeah,
Bible stories much better than I do, but I just read not long ago, like, there was a point where, like a hand comes from heaven and scribes on a wall. You know what I'm
yeah,
talking about?
yeah.
And everybody was, like, freaked out because it was this massive hand that, like, scribbled onto the wall. That's gotta be what those paws are like for the kitten. That's like Mr. Fox's, you know, God coming down from heaven with the giant paw. Like, that has to be, like, what's going through his mind, don't you think?
I think so. I think so. And these are fantastic. Okay, so
And
I
but
love
for our listeners, definitely look up because we have learned that the Bible according to Junebug can be a little confusing for people. So I just bring these things up to encourage you to open the word and get in the word and never listen to my words because those will mess you up all day
and
long. Okay.
you'll find that story in the Old Testament. So have fun and just Google it and then go look it up. But it'll be in the Old Testament. It'll be the
Yeah.
front half of the Bible. Uh, just FYI. Okay,
Okay.
so I loved what you sent me. Thank you. Now this is what Rhonda Corey sent me. It's a little tiny cat, right?
Yes.
Tiny little cat, and this girl. Look how I don't know if you can see. She's got gray hair and her sweater,
Okay,
and
so
she's got a
these are
little.
Legos that
Yeah,
Michelle's
oh yeah,
showing. There's a
a
little
little Lego.
cat Lego that she just showed me, and then there's an older lady with long silver hair and a pink sweater on. What's on her sweater, Michelle?
Well, she's wearing a fanny pack, okay, and then she has cat hair everywhere because this is called the cat scratch post cat lady or something. I'm not really sure. It cracked me up when she sent it. One, I love Legos, so if you ever want to send me anything, Legos is the thing that, or the ding dongs or Twinkies, or that kind of stuff. But Legos, like I live for Legos. And she sent me that, and I'm like, "Oh, it's a Lego." And then I read the package that it was a cat lady. I'm like, "Ooh." And then I opened it, and I'm like, "Oh, Rhonda."
Rhonda Corey, you
Rhonda
did
Corey.
it again.
Yeah.
Oh, she's the arch nemesis right now. Rhonda
Yep.
Colson Corey and her cat lady Legos. I love that the cat lady has cat hair on her sweater. That
Yes.
absolutely cracks me up. The
Oh.
fanny pack, now the fanny pack is a thing though.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
it's not just old people that wear fanny packs now. They're back in style. It's
Well, they
my son's girlfriend, she carries around a fanny pack, and both of my son's girlfriends, I believe, have them, and they're like
really?
expensive. And yeah,
Oh.
because there's a lot of places now that won't let you carry in purses and bags and those kind of things, but they'll
Wow.
let you carry in a fanny pack. And then
Seriously?
also, yeah, and
Huh.
also now, like it used to be at places like Kings Island and Six Flags and all of that, you could have like a cinch bag, like a cinch sack that had
Mhm.
your stuff in it, and they would have little lockers to the side. You put it in there, ride the ride, grab the bag, and go. But now people will stand in those lines for like an hour and a half, get up there, and they're like, "Yeah, you can't ride. You can't ride
Mm.
with that bag." And
Mm.
yeah, but if you have a fanny pack on that you can lock in and it's locked around your waist, they'll let you do
Then
it.
it's
But
okay.
really, like if you look it up now, like celebrities are wearing fanny packs, and like I'm seeing young people, like young hip people. So I think that's what that Rhonda was saying about you, is like you're super hip.
That's
And
right.
you have a
My hips
fanny
are
pack on your
huge.
hips. Yep, you have a fanny
That's
pack on your
right.
hips.
Well,
I'm not saying
fanny.
yes, your hips are huge. That yes came out at
Mhm.
the wrong time. You know how
Uh-huh.
sometimes
Uh-huh.
you try to say
Uh-huh.
something and then it was
Uh-huh.
poor timing. And who am I to talk about big hips?
Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah.
all day long.
Well, fanny packs have actually never gone out of style because when people started becoming like dog walkers or animal caretakers, they've always wore fanny packs. And if you look at the animal trainers on, if you ever went to a Disney show, like with the animals,
Yeah, but that
or
doesn't make them in style.
but they've always had them on there because that's where they always
Right.
keep their snacks
But
and their
there's a
treats.
difference between being in style and wearing something for work. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like my husband right now is wearing turnout gear because he left my house to go to a structure fire. You could say,
What?
"Oh, well, turnout gear is in style because firemen wear it," but it would be weird if I wore it walking down the street. You know what I'm saying? I'm
I
just
think it would
saying.
be amazing. I think you should do that, and we should watch a video of it because we have videos of you going across the street in a llama costume,
Yes.
like and a taco.
Yeah.
So I think turnout gear, is that what you called it?
Turnout gear. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I think you should do that same thing. Do
Yes.
some kind of video of you doing that. Okay, now look at this. See this? These I have
Yes.
smiley stress balls, right?
Yes.
I love these things. I got these a couple weeks ago with this cup that says "Too blessed to be stressed." I don't know if you can see that.
Even though you're stressed out by that smelly candle that's right beside your
Oh,
blessed. Is that what you're trying to do? Is balance out the smell of the candle with a too blessed to be stressed and then a stress ball to
I
cover the
just
candle?
I just put the stress ball on top, then the bottom of the
Nice.
stress ball smells. No, it's a wonderful smelling candle.
Yeah.
It's just too much for me. So, but
It's
that's fine.
the funny thing is when you order from Amazon, no matter how close you get your nose to the computer screen, you cannot smell the scent. I tried. I tried my laptop, I tried my phone. I was here on the Apple computer. I couldn't smell it, so I had to guess. Okay, so what are we going to talk about comedy-wise today, Van
Okay.
Dusen?
Well, first off, with everything that we just talked about, like the fanny packs being out of style, then they're now back in style. Like
Yes.
that's the common fashion, when fashion comes in and out.
Yes.
Those are things that you can glean comedy from or start writing stuff from. Okay, but I have a question for you.
Okay.
I think today we should talk about different ways that you can connect with your audience.
Gotcha.
So like, normally when you're doing your show, like just throughout the summer, whatever, there's no theme connected to it, but you're just doing your show.
Yes.
How do you then take that show and connect to an audience when you're doing like a holiday show? So it's a Christmas party. So Christmas is coming up
Mm,
soon, right? So people are
yes.
going to want Christmas shows at banquets and things like that.
Yeah.
How do you go ahead and just rewrite and just write all new stuff, or do you somehow take what you have and just tweak it to what they're doing? Like how are you going to connect with your audience when you're doing a Christmas show or a holiday
Hmm.
show of some sort?
I see. Okay, so probably both. The answer would be both of those things. I write new stuff sometimes. I don't write all new stuff. I don't write a whole new set for, a Christmas party. But for example, I have a story about tricking my husband into wearing an ugly sweater to a party that wasn't an ugly sweater party. And he showed up with a giant goat Christmas sweater on, and everybody else was not dressed that way.
A goat sweater?
It was a goat. It was a goat Christmas sweater, really an ugly Christmas sweater. And
Oh,
while we're
that's
at this
old.
party, this is when he was still chief of the city fire department. Now, I say he just left for a fire, even after retiring, after a year of almost 30 years of being a professional firefighter. He's volunteering and helping the community that we live in now, so it just never leaves their veins, I guess. But at the time, he was the fire chief of the third largest city in the state of Kentucky, and we were at a Christmas party, and he was wearing a goat sweater. And I was in the dining room talking and laughing with my girlfriends or whatever. The guys had already picked on him about the goat sweater. And the next thing I know, he comes into the dining room, serious face, and goes, "Get up, we got to go." And I was like, "Oh, what's up?" And he said, Indian Hills is on fire. And Indian
Oh.
Hills is a huge country club here in the city, and it's an older building, and it was fully engulfed. It was a
Mhm.
big deal. And he goes, "I gotta go." And so we get in the car, and we were passing our home. He had he didn't drive his fire chief car unless he was going
Mhm.
back and forth to the fire department, but we actually were passing our subdivision for him to get there. So on the way, I'm like, "Okay, babe, what can I do to help you to get out the door?" Because obviously he was trying to hurry. And he goes, "I don't know, just get me another sweater." And I was like, "Oh gosh." But all of our friends like literally just stood by Twitter and the news all night long, hoping to catch a glimpse of my husband in the goat sweater. Right. And so what I would do if it's a Christmas party, I'm going to take that story, I'm going to tighten it up, and I'm
Mhm.
going to share the ugly Christmas sweater story. I'm not going to do that in general. If it's June at a regular show.
Yeah.
I mean June the month, not June me. It's just a
Yeah.
regular show.
Same
I'm
thing.
probably not going to do the ugly Christmas sweater, right?
Yeah.
Or I'll look and see like what's going on in local news around the holidays. Like I've done a couple of Black Friday shows, so I have a few jokes that I've written about Black Friday.
Mhm.
And so I will write some stuff or pull some stuff out that is relevant to the season. Whenever I do like Valentine's Day banquets or a date night, I will customize it by doing the material I have about me and my husband. I will make sure that that material is in there because I'm talking to an audience of husband and wives. I know who my audience is tonight, and I'm going to talk about
Mhm.
my husband. When I do a women's event, a Mother's Day event, I have material about being a mom and my kids and one of them getting naked at the Toys R Us. And so I'm going to make sure that I talk about the, naked toddler at Toys R Us. That's going to be in there. But I don't rewrite everything. I first start by
Mhm.
looking at what do I have that is would be appropriate for this show that really targets the audience that I'm in front of. And then I will look at material that I have and go, okay, what can I change up? Like hot dogs pyro show is typically a 4th of July joke. But if it's Christmas, then we're close to New Year's. And so I'm going to talk about New Year's. You saw
Mhm.
my door open, didn't you? Did you see my door
Yes.
open? Someone is home and
Yeah.
doesn't realize we're recording. I'm just waiting for my dog to come in. Yeah, it wasn't a ghost, I promise. It wasn't but maybe that's a Halloween joke right now. We'll talk
And the
about.
fact that the door is closing, it's not the dog. I
Yes,
have
yeah.
there's a cat in it, with his paw, trying to open my door, but it's closed. It's locked.
Yeah, that's not the cat. And if well, my dog can actually open doors. Like I just got home with grocery bags and he came out. My husband was he was hooking up the water sprinkler or whatever in the yard. So the dog was already outside. Jason shut the door behind him and I had bags on my shoulders. And moms, like we're gonna go in the house with all of the groceries. I'm not taking 2 trips. I'll have them hanging off my
Oh,
earrings if
see,
I have
no,
to.
I can't. I can't. I take more than one
I'm
trip.
that's what I'm doing. I'm packing it all in. And also so I can go, "Thanks for the help, everybody." Because
I don't wanna
whatever.
squish the bread, so I do
Uh,
not take everything in at
no,
one
I'm
time.
strategic where I put the bread, but I was standing on the steps and Reggie was out there with me, the boxer retriever mix. And I was like, "Okay, buddy, open the door, Reggie." And he turned around and looked at because he can. And my husband's like, "Okay." And I go, "Reggie, open the door." And girl, he jumped up, hit it with his paws and pushed it forward. And that dog let me in my
Oh,
house.
cool. So you have one of those, latches that
Yes, it's
just
one of those
flips. Yeah,
that
so that makes more
where you
sense.
can up and
Uh,
down. Okay,
okay,
so back
so
back to the material. So
wait.
what do you do? Do you the same thing or
Well, wait, no, I have some questions
oh,
because
follow-ups? Okay.
yeah, I got follow-ups, girl. So with your Christmas sweater story, then
Mhm.
you were talking about if you're doing like a date night, or a Valentine's thing, do you ever take the Christmas sweater and change it into bad gifts? Like add it into a
Yeah.
bad gift kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Um, because that to me is hilarious that you could have that as a bad gift, then add more things as bad
Yeah.
gifts.
So as you know, I do a bit about that. I thought my husband was attracted to me because I'm a tall blonde and it must be the legs and it was more about the feet. because I wear the same size shoe as him. So he could just buy me boots that fit him every holiday for Christmas. Like I have 4 pairs of men's, oh gosh, I just went blank. What are the names of the shoes? The big brown boots.
The Dockers? The
No. I haven't done this.
Doc
This
Martens?
is
No?
what happens when you haven't
Yeah.
done a joke in a while. I
But
haven't
so
done
he
that bit in
buys
a while.
you boots so that he can borrow them.
Timberland boots. Timberland
Timberlands.
boots. And no kidding, I looked it up. And Timberland boots, I don't know if they still have it, but their motto used to be, "You're never going to get to retire, so why should your boots?" Like, how romantic is that for your man to give you a pair of boots for Valentine's Day with the slogan on the front that says, "You'll never get to retire, why should your boots?" So yeah, so if I'm doing Valentine's and I'm talking about gifts or whatever, then I may spin it and be like, "Oh my gosh, one Christmas or last Christmas I bought him this goat sweater," and then it'll lead into, so it'll be like a one up. He always kind of comes out on top, when it comes to the joke. Like I usually end up being the butt of the joke, but yeah, I mean, I'll switch things around a little bit. I'll change if I'm mentioning a holiday and it can be switched out with a different holiday, I'll just change the holiday.
Oh, I like
if it
that.
doesn't change the joke. So
Yeah. I like how you do that, because that to me seems easier and just gives you an opportunity to already take what you have and then just rework it some.
yeah,
But at the same time, I love the fact that you're always constantly writing. So
yeah.
with your holiday sweater, your goat sweater, did you see in the news, or maybe it was on TikTok or whatever, but there was these women in this church. They got their husbands to wear the exact same shirt, like for the same weekend, and then after that they had like a banquet, uh casseroles, and all that, where they eat
Yeah.
afterwards.
Potluck.
So yeah, potluck. So they all attended service. And so it was like you had the worship team, all the men that was on the stage all had the exact same shirt. Did
Oh
you see that?
wow. No, I have to look that up. That's wicked awesome. That's
Yeah. So
pretty
it just
awesome.
reminded me of your goat sweater, which I think is hilarious. Now, how do you go from a holiday theme kind of a deal, and we just heard about how you rewrite stuff and make it towards that season. How do you go from that to like an inspirational um comedy show? Because I know
Hmm.
that you don't just do straight stand up.
Right.
You're also a speaker. People hire you to come in and speak. So how
Yeah.
how much comedy do you add into your inspiration, or into your talks?
Hmm.
And how much do you leave, like what's is it
Yeah.
50-50? Is it 30-40? Like how do you do that?
Typically I'll talk to them about like how much time would you like it to be comedy and how much time would you like me to speak, because sometimes they're like, man, we want more comedy than the inspirational talk, and then some people are like, well, we just like a few minutes of comedy, and then if you could share a testimony or whatever. And so I
Mhm.
always customize it to the expectation of the people that I'm going to see. So for example, like a Mother's Day luncheon that I did, they wanted like 30 minutes of comedy, 15 minutes of inspirational speaking. And so I knew that it was going to be a Mother's Day luncheon. So I pulled out all of my mom material, my relationship with my husband type material. And I kind of built the theme of the conversation I was going to have around not being a perfect person, which allowed me
Mm.
to tell all these jokes and stories about my naked kid in Toys R Us, and me catching my rug on fire, and my kid going to the ER 13 times. And so basically I just took the jokes that I had about being a mom and then customize what I was going to talk about by letting that roll into how none of us are perfect, the type of parent that God is, and that it's okay to not be the perfect mom, because none of us are. And so it led me into that, but I still sprinkled in there some funny stories, because for me, I feel like when you're sharing, and especially we're trying to reach somebody's heart, it's a bit of a roller coaster ride, right? You
Mhm.
want them to ride up with you, and then when you get down in that valley, and when you're having the deep, serious conversations, you can't leave somebody in there, right? You got to let
Right.
them breathe and then write again and breathe and then write again. And so so that's where the comedy comes in for me as well. Like I'll get into the meat of it and the seriousness of it, but then comedy and laughter diffuses tension or fear, and it gives this little release. And the same way that when you write a joke, you have the build up, right? And then the laugh is
Mhm.
release and the build up and the laugh. I kind of look at how I write when I'm going to be an inspirational speaker or I get an opportunity to share with people, almost the same way as building your set in comedy, or the same way that you build a joke. You allow them to go along for the ride, but you don't hold the tension too long where it becomes uncomfortable or ineffective, if that makes sense. So that's kind of
Yeah.
how I do it.
Okay. That's good. That's good. Good stuff, June Colson. Good stuff.
Thank you. Thank you very much. What about you? Is it all, do you rebuild sets for specific shows? Or I know you write about the Dewey Decimal System. We've talked about that this season.
Well, I only did the Dewey Decimal System because it was comedy on Dewey, so that
Mhm.
was it was appropriate for the place.
Yes.
But now maybe I should add some more stuff in there. Uh, No, I don't build sets. The last time I had a hammer and a nail in my hand,
Yes.
the nail bounced off the wall and poked me in the eye. So I'm like, my husband's like, you can't build sets. I'm like, okay then. Uh,
Comedy set, Michelle, focus, focus.
oh,
Look, I'm saying
comedy.
focus as I'm playing with my ring light because it just fell over and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do this. Go ahead, Michelle.
You remind me of a romper room right now. And I see Rhonda and
I'm too
Trisha's
young for that.
sister. And,
You have to explain
wow.
romper room. I'm not 50 something like you, Michelle.
That's
Oh,
true. You're a
happy birthday.
baby.
I've never seen romper room. I
Thank you.
don't know what that is. I'm sorry.
Really? Like never?
No, but I'll Google it.
Google it
I'll
and
give
then
it a Google.
ask Rhonda what she thought of it. So
Gotcha.
yeah,
Gotcha. Well, what about when you do inspirational speaking and when you have holiday shows and things like that? Do you do the same,
well,
or are you different than my train of thought? Most people are different than
no,
my train of thought.
I'm a little different because I'm a visual. I like props and
Mm.
so so one time I was doing a I was doing a keynote at a women's retreat, and it was about our words and how our words entangle us.
Yeah.
And so I had a volunteer person come up, and as you know, as we talked about, when we say things that go against of who God created us to be, or our image in him, our identity in Christ, when they spoke against it, oh, I'm stupid, oh, I'm dumb, like, when you put yourself
Mm.
down. So
Yeah.
as they put themselves down, then we wrapped them in toilet paper. Okay, so we took the paper and we just kept wrapping it around, so the person ends up becoming a mummy. This is why people love being my volunteer. So
Yes.
so this person is now covered in toilet paper, and then the word that the Bible talks about how we're supposed to wash ourselves, wash our mind with the word of God. So now I had the audience was quoting scripture, and I was having the person that was wrapped up by their own words now quoting a scripture, and then quoting another one, and quoting another one. And as they quoted it, I had this super soaker with water, and I was going to spray this person down. And before I began, because
Michelle, stop, stop. You
it
thought it
was
was going to
it
be a
was
good idea to wrap an audience member in toilet paper and then spray them with water and have
yes,
soggy.
yes, because it was going to wash
Please
away.
tell me. Okay,
Anyway,
what happened?
so
It wasn't
so
going to wash away. They were going to have soggy toilet
it
paper on
was
their
no, it
clothes.
was one ply. It was very, very
Okay,
thin. It
okay,
was,
okay.
it wasn't like the double ply, the fancy stuff. It wasn't Charmin. And so as I was discussing, what was going to do, and I had a volunteer that was like, yeah, I'll do it. Like they were all set to be part of the illustration. um and we had like a baby pool that they're going to stand in so water wouldn't get everywhere, kind of a thing. uh anyway, somebody on the staff um kind of religious-ish, was like, "Yeah, we can't have anything being sprayed in the audience." I'm like, "It's not gonna be on the audience." She's like, "Nope,
Yes.
we can't." So she shut that thing down. So, like, shut it down big time.
So
So,
what'd you do?
I had to say, "Okay, now just pretend I'm spraying you with the water." So, as we pretended to be sprayed, then, the paper got torn and, fell down kind of a thing. Anyway, but that was my one inspirational, one of the ones that I just remember the most because it just cracked me up so
So
much. I'm
you
like,
so you go with humorous props. You go with audience
"Yes."
participation and humorous props.
Yeah, yeah, because it adds it gives them a visual of never
Oh, yeah.
forgetting that, like,
I'll never forget
ever.
this story.
Yeah, so you get it. And then, like, when my husband and I when, we taught children's church, um, one time we did a thing about, being being a tool for God. And so we had tools, a hammer and a
Yes.
nail and screwdrivers and all the drills and whatever tools, because he was
Mm.
a carpenter at the time. And so, we went through that kind of a thing. So that now bring it back to inspirational for comedy, like if I was doing a comedy set,
Mhm.
my story of wanting to be a nun when I was younger and what happened from that,
Yeah.
that whole process of that story has punchlines in it. And so I'll usually just tell that, and it's connected with my testimony. It's connected, it's personal, it's real life. That there's parts of it that I've embellished.
Yes. Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
not all of it's
Yeah.
embellished, but parts of it are embellished just to make it uh,
Your
funnier.
testimony is true. Your testimony
Yes,
is true, and the humorous part of it is enhanced. It's
yes.
not lying, that's part of just being a good speaker, and, I'm kinda working on something right now about, when mom passed away, and, the dream that I had the night before she passed away,
Mm. Oh, that was
and
such a good dream.
it was such a good dream, and I talked about it a few episodes, back in our podcast. We were just saying that we've had 25 guests. Is that what you said? If you
Yeah,
count who we have today, is that right?
uh, yes, I believe we had about 25 guests. We might have 26, depends if we do another,
Yes, yes.
episode
But
soon.
just this far, I shared in one of the episodes about when mom passed away and how I had dreamed the night before that her legs were healed. And the dream was actually a pretty funny dream where she was exercising and dancing to Chubby Checker. And so I'm writing that for something in January. And I'm not writing, it's not a lie what I'm writing. I'm just enhancing the humor of what I dreamed and adding some childhood stuff to it,
Yeah.
just to lead in to something else. So I think, as folks like us who do comedy, but also are called to speak and share our testimonies and things like that, that it is important to keep the integrity of your testimony intact. But
Mhm.
yours is hilarious. Your testimony is hilarious. The fact that you wanted
Yeah.
to be a nun, and then the whole like they weren't
No.
interested, not that into you, Michelle. It's hilarious, and that leads to something really important that you want to share. So
Yeah.
I think it's the same thing. It's like what I was talking about when you're doing those things. You're talking about something serious. You're talking about somebody's salvation,
Mhm.
and you take them on a ride as well. You
Yeah.
take them like the flying nun, like
Yeah.
Sally Field. You take them flying through your nun story, and it's awesome. And I
Yeah.
think it makes it easier, like I said, for people to digest the conversations that we're having. So that's super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this season,
Mhm.
y'all definitely go back. I mean, we've got a few more episodes that we're going to record before the end, but today we were just talking about we've had so many amazing guests this season. A lot
Oh,
of guests
so
who have
many.
things that have happened since they've been on. I was just glancing over, seeing like Brian Kahatsu, his dry bar has come out. It's doing
Yes.
really well. So, go back, listen to Brian Kahatsu, and our friend Deanna Lane. She's now filming a sitcom.
I know! Oh my
What's it
gosh.
called, Michelle?
It's called Fade Away.
Fade Away, and it's set in a funeral home. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that's in process right now. I just love going back and looking at like all the different things. Our friend Jeff Allen, he's filming a movie right
Mhm.
now. And well, I think he just finished his,
Yeah, it just wrapped.
part of it. He just wrapped up and he's back on the road wide open. Wynette Turner from the
Yeah.
Huckabee Show, her son, we talked
Mhm.
about on the show. He just got his first gold record.
Was that a gold record? Because I knew
Yes,
'cause it
he
was,
just
like,
got his
so
first
many
gold
sales.
record, and
Yeah, that was so cool.
what's so cool is, and I'm sure people say it because it's Chase Matthew,
Mhm.
and I think people wanna say Matthews, but I'm, like, making sure that I say it properly. Okay, so Chase Matthew, he just got his gold record, but what does that have to do with Wynette? The other day,
Yeah.
I saw a video of her and her mom. I believe Chase calls her Meemaw. Uh, Chase's mom and Meemaw, Wynette and her mother on stage with Chase singing backup at one of his concerts. And
Wow.
we talked about what a phenomenal singer she is
Oh
and
my gosh,
how
yes.
she's been a writer in Nashville for a long time, and she's extremely talented. But how cool is one of our guests is now singing backup to one of the up and coming biggest stars in country music right now,
Oh,
and
that's
her son just
fantastic.
got a gold record, so that's super cool. um who else? Oh, we had Christian McCartney, Christian
Mhm.
McCartney on. Bob
Yep,
Smiley took us to #1 on the Creative Motion Network. How many
that's
now,
right.
Michelle, you said we've been in the top 10 on Creative Motion Network about how many times this season?
This season, it's about 14.
Wow.
We have a couple more that still need to be released before, this episode is released, so that number may go up, which it's just
Mm,
really amazing
yeah.
that people are tuning in on Roku, on the Creative Motion Network,
Yes.
and, listening, and, oh, we did get some new listeners in Sweden, so that
Nice.
yep, I think that's pretty cool, so we're expanding our reach. I did,
Mhm.
this morning when I was Googling our, yeah, I guess I was Googling I was looking on Audible
Yes.
where, to find our, podcast, and I found out that if you Google, or search for laugh support
Mhm.
and hot breath media, that we pop up. So
Oh,
it's,
nice.
yeah, so Joel's, podcast pops up and ours pops up because
Oh,
we're
cool.
under the umbrella of Hot Breath Media, and so
Yes.
because of that, it's sometimes, it's easier to find us through that way. So I just thought it was really
Yeah.
cool.
That is super cool. That's so cool. Dennis Gaxiola, he's one who has his, his second dry bar has come out
Yes.
since he's
Mhm.
been on the show, so that's one to watch. I get to see Sylvia Traymore Morrison next week at the
Ooh,
LOLGCA, so maybe we'll talk about that
nice.
in a future episode. But man, we have been so blessed to have some pretty amazing guests this season. We've got a few more episodes up our sleeves this season,
Mhm.
y'all. So definitely continue to stay tuned in and listen. Do us a favor. Do us a huge favor and like us on social media. Okay.
Yes.
Subscribe to us on
Yeah.
YouTube to the Laugh Support Podcast. Okay. Find us on Facebook and Instagram, and like us and subscribe to us on YouTube. So, listen, the Life Support
Yes.
Podcast, if you are listening, you know that you can find us on pretty much any of the major podcast platforms: Amazon, Apple Podcast, Audible, Spotify, Player FM, and others. And if you want to see Michelle's amazing cat paws and all the cool gifts that she got for her birthday, then you definitely want to be able to watch this episode. And you can do that on Vimeo, on the Creative Motion Network, on Roku TV, or on our YouTube channel. Also, you can see my cool t-shirt. I want to shout out to my daddy Hot Dog. He's having
The
open heart
legend.
surgery on Monday, and I'm sporting the t-shirt. It's I have a t-shirt on that says Hot Dog, and then it has a big hot dog on the front of it, and it says the man, the myth, the legend. So if you know much or you've listened to much
Here.
of our podcast, my dad is a bit of a legend. So in honor of him today, I'm wearing my hot dog, the man, the myth, the legend. And I know this will be after the surgery. We're all in prayer for Hot Dog, but we also are praying
Yes.
for any of the staff who happens to come encounter
Oh, dear
with
Lord.
that man
Help them, help them, help them.
before, during, and after his surgery, because let's just say that when he's at the medical center everybody knows it.
I
I
think you
think they
could.
have a special code for Hot Dog, the man, the myth, the legend, whenever he comes in the building.
I think you need to sell some of those shirts there. I think that would
Oh,
be
yes.
benefit.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure all of them will end up buying them. They'll be like, we'll support him. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes. Or at least maybe give a few to the nurses or the doctors that are taking care of him, because
Yeah.
he's a lot. He's a lot, Michele.
So before we head off today, I
Yes.
have another question. What do you have coming up? The end, because you
Oh.
said you're going to be speaking at the LOL
Yeah,
GCA,
this
GCA. What is it?
LOLGCA. Yes, this will air after that, but yeah, I have the
Okay.
honor of speaking at the Living on Laughter. It's the Christian Gospel Comedy Association, or the Gospel Christian Association, and it's in Triangle, Virginia, and it's a lot of amazing comics are going to be there, and I'm absolutely humbled and honored to be asked to talk about. The Creative Motion Network, to talk about our podcast,
Nice.
and to give a talk titled, "Is this a good idea or is this a God idea?" So that's what we're going to talk about.
I love it.
Yeah, so that's going on. And then in November,
Mhm.
next recording, I will tell you exactly when, but in November, I will be a part of a show outside of Indianapolis. And it's open to the public, and it's a toy drive. So it's for a good cause, and I'll give you more details in our next episode. All right, y'all. That's
I
going to be
love it.
it
I love it.
for this episode of the Laugh Support Podcast. As always, Jesus and Junebug loves you. Michele, give him a kitty cat wave with your big old paws. Wave with your kitty cat, and tell us to have a perfectly good day.
Well, see, if I wave with this, then I actually can't click that the recording's over. So
Oh
I'm gonna
no.
take.
Okay,
I'm
wave
gonna
with one. Wave with
I'm
one.
gonna take it off. Yeah. And if you happen to be in the Broken Arrow area, come and
Yes.
check. I'm gonna be working with. I'm hosting a show at the Bethel Church in Broken Arrow. It's on October 22nd. And Nicole Miller is headlining, and Gary Thompson will be featuring. So it's gonna be a really
Sweet.
fun show. So come out and see that. And yeah, I can't. They're so new, and I can't. This is it. I'll do this. This is how I'll
Okay,
say
Michelle's
goodbye.
waving goodbye with her big fat
Yeah,
paw. Okay,
with the
tell him
big
goodbye,
fat paw.
Michele.
Goodbye. Have a good one. We'll see you later.